where to start on that. I guess while Gigi and I have been kicking around these ideas for about 4 years, I will mention that we actually started working on emerging technology together around 1987.
Stop!
So it's been a number of decades. And
I was there. Sure,
so a couple of parallel things there. You know, so I've been fortunate. Yeah, many of us have been fortunate to be here, riding wave after wave after wave of technology that has built upon each other. I started off as a silicon chip designer, and it moved up the stack into kind of boxes made out of chips, and then networks, and I started in ISP, and then the layer that is kind of the interface and data science, and now I've in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been very clear to me that there's been kind of an awakening, you know, and everybody that's in this room here, I thank you because you're actively engaged, you're involved. You know, I think there's been a shift in thinking from companies just out there to make money and to make products for other companies or consumers to an awareness that we don't have much time to change the trajectory. And technology, it's very clear, it accelerates everything we do. And it accelerates things for both good and for bad. And I think what happens is you think about the things that you're working on, but they have these side effects. You know, like you look at the things happening with Facebook now or other companies, you're not always aware of the things that are going wrong. And in the last maybe 2.5 generations, we've had so many interesting inventions. Like think about the movie The Graduate, if you're old enough to have seen that, where you get the kid graduating, he's going to go find a job, and the older guy puts his arm around him and says one word, plastics. You know, think about that. That was only 40 or 50 years ago. And at that time, people thought that they were bringing to this planet the magic material that would transform everything for the positive. You know, easy to make, last forever. And look, you know, 40 years later, we're realizing that it's actually destroying everything. So everything that we touch as investors, entrepreneurs, the things that we drive to build, there hasn't been the awareness that I think is now finally happening. So I'm excited to see that. A little bit about Acti. In that era, in the 80s, I used to sort of hide what I did, and I had a group of tech entrepreneurs that were kind of addicted to windsurfers. Kiteboarding didn't exist, and I would have my assistant put meetings on my calendar when the wind came up so that I could sneak out of the office and nobody knew. You know, and I literally did that for years and years. We had this little secret group that would meet on Maui, and over time, when kiteboarding came in, we sort of, you know, I think all of us got to the point where we didn't feel like we had to like fake meetings anymore, and I think it became kind of, you know, just more open and authentic, and it was magical. I think authenticity and being yourself, your true self, just brings a lot of transparency and goodness, and a community formed around that grew and grew and grew, which is now Acti. So just so you know what that acronym is, it's athletes, conservationists, technologists, artists, innovators. And for whatever reason, that little seed of a couple of people going to Hawaii every year to kiteboard, it grew and grew and grew. And over time, we've been inducting members, you know, in all of those categories, whether, you know, conservationists like Sylvia Earle or Captain Paul Watson, or artists like Imogen Heap or Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses, or that come to our gatherings. And we are united around a couple things. We are a registered 501c3, and we support environmental conservation and economic empowerment through entrepreneurship. And it's because of who we were and who we are that those things ended up being things that we worked on. A couple of the projects that Gigi was mentioning supporting technology around the SDGs. Years ago, we had started a startup competition. More for like 30 seconds. We had a startup competition that is known as the Extreme Tech Challenge. Last year, we decided to align that with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So we now have a worldwide competition supported by Samsung. We just got sponsorships from Ford, Intel, 10 other companies. And this is going to be a year-long contest that culminates in May. And I'm working with the Secretary General's office at the UN to have the winners present at the United Nations at UN General Assembly Week, September 2020. There's another project, so if you want to get involved in that, just reach out to me. I think we've got a lot of activities through the year that culminate in May and then the UN General Assembly in September. There's another project that we've initiated called 2030 Vision, and it doesn't work with startups per se, but I had a company that I co-founded as chairman called Treasure Data. It got acquired by ARM Corporation, which is owned by SoftBank, and we're the data science layer that sits on top of all those ARM CPUs. So think of us as kind of like iCloud for everything. And ARM initiated with Project Everyone, and you guys might see this little pin, the circular pin. The company that created the branding the SDG campaign, the branding, the pins, all that stuff, they're called Project Everyone. ARM and Project Everyone teamed up to create 2030vision.com. And what we're doing is we're basically bringing technology, which is not everybody in this room, but I think a lot of us here are more familiar with than most people in other parts of the world, to solve for the global goals. And we've got a lot of traction. We have involved in that Facebook, Microsoft, SAP, Google, Oracle, just a lot of companies are supporting this effort to find technology solutions that will fit the Sustainable Development Goals. And the UN has assigned a person in charge of public-private partnerships to try to drive projects where we can take our collective energy and networks and capital to try to create those solutions. And if you're interested in working on something like that, please let me know. And I think that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to hand it off to, is it Jason next? Thank you.